Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would sit down and do another video for you guys and gals. So let me give you guys a forearm shot before I start. Forearms are on point. All right, let's talk about this. Something I see a lot of on social media, both YouTube, Facebook, everywhere else. I see memes about it from all these different groups, and always like the food pyramid is to blame for our obesity. The food pyramid needs to be flipped upside down. Now, the ironic thing is that anyone who actually followed the food pyramid, their odds of being obese is slim to none. And here's what I mean. And this is the thing. When you're dealing with diet zealots, they like to not even bother to fact check things. Have you guys noticed that? How many of them, when push comes to shove, they don't realize the data usually and good science and everything else completely debunks their nonsense. They follow usually a few fringe experts, and maybe some of them have an MD. A lot of those MDs get their licenses revoked for a variety of reasons, and they just clash with all other scientific knowledge. But they don't even like to fact check anything. They just accept stuff as dogma. So how many times have you people heard people should take the food pyramid and flip it? Meaning the stuff that you're supposed to eat the least of, you should eat the most of, and the stuff that it says you should eat the most of, you should eat the least. You should just flip that pyramid. Anyone see the problem with that? What foods are at the tip of the pyramid? The stuff that, according to the food pyramid, just like we have 4 tiers, right? You got a tier down here that's basically your starchy carbs. They're calling it grains and cereals. When they say that, they don't mean Rice Krispies, by the way. So Rice Krispies would be on the tip. So they want you to eat mostly that, then fruits and vegetables, then proteins, nuts, legumes, right? So then all your meat, your fish, your dairy, nuts, all those things, right? They're in the next tier up. And then the little point, which it says you should eat in extreme moderation, you should eat as little of these as possible. These should comprise the smallest part of your diet. What is it? Refined fats. That would include oils, butters, things like that, vegetable oil, butter. Refined sugars, that would be table sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and this stuff like alcohol. Okay, that's the little thing. They're like, this should comprise the smallest portion of your diet should be these things. All right, so anyone who starts throwing in, the food pyramid will have you eating cakes and junk food, and when if you follow it correctly, those things should be the smallest portion of your diet, and they can be at 0, and it's acceptable on the food pyramid. So they're already lying. Okay, they're already lying. But if you flip the food pyramid, and we go from starchy carbohydrates being our staple fuel, where we get most of our food from that, be the biggest portion. They want the biggest portion to be refined sugar, refined fats, and alcohol. So basically they're telling you, when they tell you to flip the pyramid, they're like, well, then they'll change it. Well, we don't literally mean that. We mean remove that section, then flip it. Well, why didn't you just say that? Why don't you just admit that you don't know what you're talking about, didn't read the food pyramid? Because what they're really, I guess, insinuating is that the 3rd tier should be the 1st tier down. They should be at the base. What they're actually trying to say, but they're saying to flip the whole pyramid. So that means the tip should be the biggest. Okay, you want to invert that pyramid. So they're telling you to live on table sugar, butter, canola oil, and whiskey. That's what they're saying when they say to flip it. And to only eat a little bit of potatoes. This is because they're ignorant. They don't even bother to look at it when they make statements. They just throw stuff out there that they heard someone say somewhere. They don't fact check it. And it's absurd. And the reality is the food pyramid is actually pretty good. When you consider that every good diet, notice I said every good diet, so then the stupid carnivore stuff is out because it wants you to eat butter. Like these people are like, we just pour butter on everything. It's like, it's the most insane diet I've ever heard of. Because, carnivores even in nature make butter. They emulsify, they take milk, harvest it, skim it, throw all the protein and stuff away. Just throw all the protein and the calcium and magnesium and all B12, throw it away. Just take the milk fat and then you refine it. Yeah, because that's what lions do. But it's ludicrous. These people are insane. But essentially, if you look at the tip of the pyramid, every other good diet all agrees these are the things that in excess create enormous problems. Refined sugars, refined fats, alcohol. Okay, these are all things that we could technically be healthy with zero of, right? There's no need for any of these things in your diet. In other words, if you completely excluded those things from your diet for the rest of your life, you would probably be just fine. You would suffer no ill consequences if they just went away. They're not necessary for any goal at all. Those are the problem. And the food pyramid got that right. And that's what people are not getting. What they don't, you could say, okay, well, I think carbs should be lower than protein or whatever. Okay, that's fine. For certain goals, that may be true. For the general population, that's probably not. I eat a much higher protein intake. So for me, that protein area is probably at the base tied with some of the other stuff. But I'm also chasing extreme body composition. I'm also trying to get much, much leaner. I'm carrying a way above average amount of muscle. I mean, I'm 215 right now with abs, 215 pounds, and I'm trying to get leaner. Okay, so I've got extreme goals. The average person just wants to be healthy, right? They don't need to be shredded. They don't need to look like a Greek god. That's not their goal. If they just want to be fit and healthy, that food pyramid works just fine. We've eliminated most of the bad stuff. And then the other stuff, like the higher fat foods that can cause problems in excess, are still kept somewhat moderated. And then it's based on mostly starch and then fruits and vegetables. Humans thrive on starch. Starch has never been correlated in humans with obesity. Fat cultures that eat the most white rice usually are thin, right? They're at lighter body weights. They don't have obesity problems. They don't have diabetes problems. And that's even taking a refined carbohydrate, a refined grain. More whole grains, more whole foods, even less so. Right? Potatoes, nobody's getting fat on potatoes and oats. And that's the other stuff that's down at the base. But people hear the word cereals and for some reason, they pop in their head, they're thinking breakfast cereals with loaded refined sugars added in. Well, those foods didn't have as much of that. Those foods didn't have as much of that back in the day. There were a lot of low sugar or sugar-free type cereals that were readily available. Back when this food pyramid was originating, they also meant things like oatmeal, or as the Brits call it, porridge. So people who are promoting this and this sort of nonsense, they're full of it. They're full of crap. And they don't know what they're talking about, and you should ignore them. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.